Hi. Welcome to FakeNerd's Watch. We're
You're Ben Magnet.
I'm Ben. I'm possibly a variant Ben. We got a lot of new stuff here. Talking about new stuff, there's that Nintendo Direct. That was new. That was cool. There's also some old stuff in there, like the old maps for Mario Party.
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Some new old stuff.
Ben.
Some new old stuff. So,
what are we here to talk about, though?
Nintendo, right? I'm pretty sure it's Nintendo.
It rhymes with it. You're close.
Loki episode 2.
There it is.
Low-tendo.
Yeah, we're here to talk about.
I forgot the episode title for this one.
I never even look. I don't even know.
Brandon?
It wasn't up when I watched it.
Oh, shoot.
There
You
we
know
go.
what? I think there was variant in it.
Yeah.
So I think.
Oh, it's the variant.
It makes sense.
The variant.
My intro.
The variant.
The variant.
Variant.
Yes.
Hey, this is Ben Magnet. I'm Sparks Witty. That's Ryan Eliopoulos.
What's up?
And there's Brandon T. McClure. We are, of course, here to talk about Fake Nerds Watch. And no, we're not going to address the elephant in the room. Let's go!
Just like the multiverse things just happened, baby. They just happened.
Okay.
Everything's normal for me.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Hey guys, another episode of Loki. I had a pretty good time.
Oh, shoot. I just remembered something before we dive into it that I wanted to talk about because it bothered me all week. And then someone in my personal sphere a few days ago reached out to me and talked to me about it. And I'm like, okay, so yeah, I'm going to talk about it.
Do it.
I came across as apparently ignorant in the previous episode when I did not intend to when talking about the Mongolia thing. And it bothered me all week.
Oh,
because I was like, I know I wasn't articulating what I meant. And then when someone reached out to me and was like, yeah, you came off as ignorant. And I'm like, yep, that's what I was afraid of because I wasn't able to articulate what I was saying. So I want to be very clear. I think it's great that it is actually representative of a nomadic culture that does exist in Mongolia. That was not my point. The point I was trying to make is that when you are crafting a show or a film, you are making a choice about how you portray things, and that we have a tendency to portray Eastern cultures as a foreign other. And by choosing to portray specifically the nomadic culture in Mongolia, we are still further distancing that representation when I'm like, why did it have to be that? Why couldn't it have been like just a modern part? Like a more modern looking setting, something that doesn't so easily slip into the mindset where, like, obviously I fell into the trap where you think, that seems like super foreign-y and like different and the representation, real specifically, the representation of, by contrast to Loki, them seeming primitive. That's my problem with it. That a foreign other is portrayed as primitive in a generic way. And I know that's not the intention, but it is a tendency to do that stereotype with that kind of transportation. And that was the point I was trying to articulate, is that was my concern behind it. Not that like, oh, it's a problem because of that actual specific culture existing or something like that. And more than anything, my issue with it is like, it's not a problem in the sense of like going to the place, but when you are crafting something, you are making a conscious choice of how you represent something. And there's something about the way that you choose that specific location, because we don't know why the Tesseract spits them out there. There's never a reason given. You choose that, and that still leans into that tendency to show Eastern civilization as primitive by comparison. That was the point I wanted to articulate. We don't need to berate it. I just wanted to be clear that was the point I was going for.
I mean, I think that has merit. I mean, it could have been an alien civilization. The Tesseract can take you anywhere. Could just be a desert with no people around. It could have been anything like that, but they chose what they chose.
Yeah,
could have been the desert from S.H.I.E.L.D.
The alien planet.
The alien planet.
Yeah.
That
would have been wild.
Yeah, right?
The astronaut shows up. They're like, what? What?
I saw, because you brought up S.H.I.E.L.D., I saw that like the showrunner for this was talking about like, yeah, when we dropped Coulson, we just kind of wanted to leave the implication of like S.H.I.E.L.D. living in one of those split time things. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay, that's what you're going for.
Definitely what it was.
Yeah.
That's totally what you intended. Good job.
Before the show existed, sure.
You definitely didn't just see people running with that tweet and go, yes.
Yes, validation. Right. I love it.
I'm all about a good yes and. So what?
That's what the MCU is famous for. Was that in fact Peter Parker in Iron Man 2? Yes.
And I'm sticking to it. Hey guys, let's talk about this episode.
Yes,
Yeah.
let's talk about this episode.
Let's
So,
move to that.
Loki episode 2, what do we think about this one?
I liked
Ben?
it a lot. Ben, yeah, what'd you think?
Real buddy cop vibes, and I think that was my favorite part of the entire episode.
Me too.
Was just the bits of them just kind of like, you know, talking and just sort of like bouncing off one another, and that sort of like, you know, new trainee and like the veteran cop, and just kind of like this thing. And I was there for it.
Owen Wilson is so impressive because like he's really not doing anything he hasn't done in plenty of other roles.
Nope.
Here.
He's really not.
And yet it's just really, really working.
Yeah.
Like he's just really making it work.
He's really natural.
It's really weird to me that it took me so long to realize it was Owen Wilson.
Oh.
It took me a solid like 5 minutes the first time I
Wow.
saw it.
I
To see
respect
him
that.
to see him say something and be like, why is his voice so familiar?
Ka-chow.
And Brandon, you mentioned the wig in the first episode. I didn't notice it as much. This episode, super noticeable. Super
Well,
noticeable.
there's one scene where it's like a wide when he's
Yes.
sitting at a table and
Yeah.
I've
it's
seen
like,
that.
ooh.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, I brought it up last week. I think he looks really good in that wig. The salt and pepper works really well for him.
It does, yeah. I just definitely noticed it more this episode.
Yeah,
I was like,
sure.
oh yeah. I guess I thought it was his normal hair in the first one, but yeah, doesn't matter. What'd you think about this one, B-Dog?
Well, unfortunately, no, I liked this one. I liked this one a lot.
Well,
This is the one that I had seen the internet chatter, so I kind of figured that I was probably going to be more favorable to the second episode than to the first.
mhm.
But I was really excited for the first episode, so I was kind of, as I mentioned, I liked it, but I was a little lukewarm on it in the first episode. This one was much more what I wanted. This one was much more enjoyable. I was very much vibing with this episode. I like this one a lot.
I think that this is the most mischievous Loki has ever been. And what I mean by that is that, like, God of Mischief is his absolute pure joy at going to Pompeii and wrecking
Yes.
everything and saying, nothing matters, you're all dead soon. Look, I'm right. Ha ha. All of this is meaningless. And I'm like, that's God of Mischief Loki.
Yes.
God damn. All right.
I feel like he got a lot more. He had a lot more moments to just kind of do his thing this episode, and I think that's why I liked it so much more than the first. Because in the first, yeah, you kind of get, you know, he has his moments where, you know, he talks his little thing, the little interview, whatever. It was fine, it was good, but like here you have him in the tent and being like, you know, wolves have sharp teeth and ears, and then you know it's BS from the start.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But just seeing him have so much fun with it.
That's that was so good. Like that scene that he's talking to Owen Wilson, and Owen Wilson almost buys it,
Yes,
and he's
yeah.
like, I got you.
And he's and
I'm
like
smart.
what you know, the moment Loki takes it too far, where he's like, we will have to meet with the timekeepers
Yeah.
immediately. And Owen Wilson's like, son of a bitch.
You want to
You
think about
almost,
this?
you almost had me.
Yeah.
Again, like this, the buddy cop stuff, like you mentioned, like I am having so much more fun than like. Not that I didn't enjoy Falcon and Winter Soldier, but like I expected that show to be a buddy cop show, and this is more of the buddy cop stuff I'm getting, like, because like we talked about like the character exploration stuff of those other characters. This is like the meat and potatoes. This is what I want, baby. Like we're learning about both these characters, and he's just a company man, but like he secretly he yearns for more. You know, he's got a wild side.
The thing
I
that
think
go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh God. As Ben, I will just take the initiative.
Yeah.
There is something now that you bring up Winter Soldier, not Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Falcon and
Yeah.
Winter Soldier is half the same title. Where this one just allows itself to have more fun.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and I understand, you know, one's more of a drama. It has to be a little bit more serious. It has to kind of, you know, toe that line. But that whole buddy cop sort of, you know, vibe, those also had a lot of humor in them. You know, it was a lot of banter, which I don't feel you really got as much. And with this, you're just kind of like, oh, hey, they're, you know, just giving each other crap.
I think the biggest thing that's already clear, a third of the way into this, by comparison to Falcon and Winter Soldier was a 6-episode series, is that this show is about Loki predominantly.
Yeah.
Everything else secondary, and it's doing that well. Falcon and Winter Soldier struggled to be about either of its title characters throughout, and that was a problem for it. I think Loki has that down
because I've seen the whole thing.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, you were on FakeNerd Watch with us
on here,
absolutely.
Watching it with you.
One of the things that I noticed when there's so many scenes where they're just sitting at a table talking, and they're so engaging, but. Yeah. I loved every single time when they sit at a table just talk. I'm like, I'm here for this.
Yeah.
But there's one moment specifically where Loki is talking about free will and the fact that the timekeepers don't know about how they're figuring out how the end of time is going to be, and then once that is figured out, it's almost like a cult, and that's when it clicked for me. Sparks is right.
Yeah.
Because last week of your theory.
Yes. The Ben, as a reminder, the theory being that, of course.
I know what it was.
Ben, the variant.
Yeah.
A reminder of the fact that the theory is that ultimately Loki, in the first episode, he talks about like all of this is illusion. It's an assessment of himself. At the same time that he's saying everything I do is an illusion. Right. Everything the TVA is doing is an illusion to make the weak feel involved and important, and then later in the episode he admits that's a representation of himself. Right. That doesn't mean that when he was saying that about the TVA, he didn't believe that was true. So Loki's goal is to break everyone of the idea that the TVA is correct, because he's like, I know that's bullshit because that's my bullshit.
Right.
So I'm going to show everyone that the TVA is bullshit, and inevitably he's going to free the sacred timeline, create the multiverse.
And it looks like with some help.
Yeah.
So he's leaving the breadcrumbs in that scene that Brandon's talking about for Owen Wilson to start to go, he's poking at the holes for Owen Wilson's character Mobius to see through, and he's like, so you see how free will not having it for you is a problem.
Yeah, well, it's complicated. So
right.
Yeah,
I think that what really strikes there at that line is when he just looks at me. He's like, so if everything's determined for everyone else, we're the only ones that get to really make choices.
And that speaks to Brandon's point from the last episode, which is that Loki is not meant to exist. He's a variant that's not supposed to exist. And yet he is here doing this.
So he has
which by the laws of the sacred timeline say that he is supposed to exist. And so it's a contradiction that can't function. And that's what Loki's pointing out, is that if that
bullshit.
were true, then I couldn't be here, but I'm also supposed to be here, but I'm not, which is why I'm here. So the whole thing doesn't work.
Right.
And I love... Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, the way that Owen Wilson talks about the sacred timeline and the timekeepers is legitimately like a religion. Yeah. He's talking about the timekeepers are his god,
and they've never met him. They've never met him.
But he was created by them, and he says that every religion has a doomsday prophecy, has a moment where time ends. So do the timekeepers. The timekeepers, the TVA is looking at eventually the timekeepers are going to figure out what the end is like, and then we can all just sit back and relax. That's exactly what every single religion on Earth tells you happens in their doomsday prophecies.
Right.
That line, and then we all get to relax at the end of time.
It's heaven.
And I sat there and I was like, oh no.
Oh no, sweetie.
Oh, yeah. Because the thing, I have experience with cults.
Sure.
Variant Ben comes from a very interesting place.
Your timeline must be wild.
It's insane. It's actually crazy. My fiance Francie is
Jesus Christ,
is a big part of my life in that world.
Listen, it was in the past. You don't have to talk about it on the air, okay?
Yeah.
But you were saying,
as I was saying, my point.
Exactly like a cult.
It's exactly like a cult.
Yeah.
What's the point?
And I'm sure that's what the writers are intending it to be, for the audience to, like Loki, poke the holes.
Mm-hmm. So speaking to that, there's the scene where Mobius is talking to Kang's wife. I forget her
Ravana.
name. Thank you, Ravana. And
in the show, she's not.
Right.
So we got to stop saying that.
Wait, she might not be.
Yet.
Yet.
We don't know.
Time.
So he's talking to Ravana, and she says, I've never seen them work this hard. Do you think she's actually seen the Timekeepers?
No. This
I
is some
think she's-
Wizard of Oz.
Do you
shit,
think
man.
she thinks she's seen the Timekeepers?
Yes,
Okay.
Wizard of Oz.
Like she's not lying.
No.
But she hasn't actually seen them.
Someone communicates to her.
Yeah, like she gets some kind of message,
Right.
some communication.
The three lizard things is baloney. It's so baloney.
I love that they keep making fun of it.
Yeah.
So these 3 space lizards.
Yeah.
Timekeepers.
Even
One of
they
my-
don't buy it.
One of my favorite moments is in the beginning when Loki is just sitting there with Miss Minutes, and he just looks at her and goes, "So are you alive or a computer program?"
Yes.
I
Yes.
loved. I saw like a tweet a couple days ago that was all like, "Damn, it's really impressive for Loki to just go this hard against Scientology." And I'm like,
Yeah,
Someone's gotta.
got him.
someone's got to take Scientology down. They've had it too good for too long.
Too powerful.
Them and Leia.
They control
Okay.
time.
Oh no.
So we learn a bit. So we get a little bit inside the variant Loki's mind, which brings us to one of my favorite moments when we see all the alternate variants of Loki that the Timekeepers have erased. And one of them is like a Hulk Loki, and one of them did
One
the
of them's-
World Cup.
Well, yeah, one of them's just soccer Loki. And I'm like, okay.
He just really got into football. yeah.
I like to imagine there's a reality where all of Asgard is just really
It's
into
just soccer,
They're
yeah.
just
Oh my god, it's like Final Fantasy X. It's like Blitzball.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
man.
He's the
Everywhere they go, they announce pageantries with vuvuzelas.
Yeah. Loki's the god of bicycle kicks or something,
Oh
you
my
know.
God.
There's the moment though where he finds out that Ragnarok happened on Asgard, and
Yeah.
I really like that moment of seeing, much like the first episode, when he sees his whole timeline laid out. He never saw Ragnarok, so when he sees that Ragnarok happened, and he's like, "Oh my god, oh that gives me an idea."
Mhm.
So it puts a population number on that.
Yeah,
Under 10,000. So
Yeah.
there's less than 10,000 Asgardians, which I
And
mean,
I'm like,
I guess
wait,
makes sense.
but I was like, wait, who died at Ragnarok?
the people in the city.
Didn't they all get on a ship?
I don't know.
Now Hela killed a bunch of people before Ragnarok happened. That happened.
Did Hela kill 10,000 people?
But that's not the same thing
Maybe.
and
as
and he
Ragnarok
says,
killing all those people.
and the paperwork says the whole species was decimated.
It's
Yeah,
true.
it says that.
That
And we
is-
know that's not
yeah,
true.
We know
That's not true at all.
That's not the sacred timeline.
Is this a different Ragnarok that he's possibly?
You know what I think it is? I think it's faulty paperwork.
It's a good
Yeah.
point. It could be.
What I thought, Brandon, is that because we know Ragnarok is cyclical.
It could have been.
I
an
thought it
old
was the previous
Oh,
Ragnarok.
That could actually be
okay,
it.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Well, that's cyclical in the comics. Would that mean they're introducing that idea into the MCU for the first time?
That makes
Right.
sense.
Right.
I just
Yeah.
mean like it's
Yeah.
cyclical in Norse mythology too.
Yeah.
Right.
So like Ragnarok might not
It's
be
fu-
the Ragnarok that just happened.
It's funny that we bring up Ragnarok because in the comics in 2008, after Ragnarok happened, that's where Lady Loki showed up.
Right.
Because all the gods reincarnated into different versions, and Loki became a female version.
A sexy
Bing
lady.
bong. I wonder if like they refer to Ragnarok when the TVA thinks of Ragnarok, they think of the Ragnarok before
Yeah,
that actually wiped Asgard and started the thing again.
it could be, or it's just some
And-
really bad paperwork.
And the
Yeah.
recent Ragnarok wasn't true Ragnarok because it wasn't caused the way that Ragnarok was supposed to be.
So
Or-
I like
Or they consider the planet being destroyed the destruction of the species because now they're on Earth, which makes them Earthlings. But Asgard is not a place; it's a people, as we know.
Yes.
see there's something I vibe with the idea of it being a previous Ragnarok. It's really cool. I almost find it just more plausible for it to just be like a hint to manipulation of paperwork
Sure.
and thought and be like, that kind of someone's pulling strings.
Someone knows better,
Yeah.
but they want every lower person of the TVA to assume this is what happened.
Yeah.
Because they're not
Yeah,
actually
exactly.
watching the direct timeline.
Everybody below the next tier will just believe whatever the higher tier above them, like directly above them, tells them.
Right.
Yeah.
So at any point there, you can like start messing with it, which might be fun for it to be just kind of like a whole bunch of crap from the top, but there's room to play with it with
my only
middle
like,
management.
My only like pushback on that concept is because everyone would know in the sacred timeline because it's too important
Yeah.
about the beginning of Infinity War what Thanos does, and
Right.
Thanos wipes out half the Asgardians.
Right.
Then.
It just makes me wonder.
So
if
I'm
they're
like, that's
counting,
a different moment.
It makes me, if it's like Ragnarok takes place within like a couple of weeks, so they're including also Thanos's annihilation. But then it's just like maybe we're thinking too much into it because
Yeah,
we're
I
nerds.
think-
Truthfully, I think we are, but we're nerds, and that's kind of our
You
thing.
know what would be
Yeah.
as sick as hell?
Not a nerd in my timeline.
No, in your timeline,
Sure.
Ben, football star.
Would you know what would be a really cool devastation point to visit in this series? Right before the planet from Guardians of the Galaxy. It's blanking.
Xandar.
Xandar. Right before
Xandar.
Xandar is destroyed.
That's
right
crazy.
before Xandar is wiped out by Thanos.
All the Xandarians are killed. Isn't
yes,
that nuts?
That's a devastation point.
That's a devastation point.
It's real
That's
sad.
right. That's right. Thanos wiped out the entire Nova Corps.
Not half, whole.
The whole
Also,
planet's
he did the
gone.
same thing with all the dwarves, like with Peter Dinklage.
Oh,
he
yeah,
left
yeah,
only
yeah.
one alive.
He
so
left
like,
only one.
his half thing was just because he's a psychopath. He's a psychopath.
He's also full of bullshit.
He's also full of bullshit.
like the TVA.
Like villains. Like people.
Well, I mean, yeah, we talked about it when Infinity War, when the snap
Yeah,
first happened, with the idea that like, yeah, okay, so you halved what was left of the Asgardian people, and then you have that again with the Infinity Stones.
I would love to see like
Savage.
you don't even need to get Josh Brolin, like just the visual of Thanos from like a distance. I would
They got
love to
that
see
CGI
that just from
model.
like a devastation, like visiting a devastation point as Thanos like wiping out Xandar or some shit. I'd be like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great nod.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But I do appreciate that we go through not just the past, we also go to the future, 2050, Roxcar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roxcar. Before we go there, I did want to spotlight like one of my other favorite like moments that Loki has in this episode is where he explains the different facts of his powers. He's like, that's actually two different things. And he's like, how? And he's like, look, and he gives this elaborate explanation. And they're like, whoa, calm down.
It's like
Professor
they all
Loki."
like know this too, and it's just like again, like every time
But they don't care.
But they don't.
Yeah.
Generally, Loki like is the smartest person in a room, and everyone else like doesn't understand him. But this is a situation where like no, everyone gets it. So your bullshit just doesn't work, and
Yeah.
he keeps trying and he keeps trying, and everyone's just like, you gotta stop it, bro.
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah.
And that's what I really like.
It is really interesting seeing him not being the smartest, all the answers
In charge, yeah.
In
Yes, I was
charge.
gonna say like what I love about the first episode is one of the most fun things is watching Loki truly be on the back foot
Yeah,
the whole time.
yeah.
And then this one is him knowing he's on the back foot and trying to find the leg up.
Yeah.
And he can't.
Yeah,
He tries and he's like, all right, I know this isn't the way.
And then he's in like a
He's trying
quadruple
different ways.
agent.
And then he ends up like truly, as he says, like, I enjoy being right about something and I'm right about this. And he
When-
just revels in that.
One of the things that I appreciate going into the second episode, what was it also in the first? You know, Owen Wilson and Loki are both the smartest people in the room. Mobius is smarter, obviously, but Mobius isn't insecure. He doesn't need to constantly keep sharing that he is the smartest person, whereas Loki does, because Loki is insecure.
I don't think Mobius is smarter than Loki.
He just has more knowledge.
I think Mobius has more resources to knowledge.
Yeah.
And knows a lot about Loki.
Because
He
he
knows
gets-
Loki deeply well.
He almost
but
gets
I don't
got.
think but I don't
Yeah.
think he's as clever as Loki is.
He almost gets got.
Loki is sharper just by pure like how Loki thinks he's sharper. But not in the sense like he doesn't
is-
have the knowledge base.
it is
He doesn't
a
have the
heavyweight bout,
encyclopedia
though.
Right,
that
but
Mobius
the
does.
thing is, Mobius knows that. He realizes it. That's why he wants
Right,
Loki
exactly.
around, you know?
Exactly.
It's like he
he's
understands
playing
his deficit.
he's playing a game with Loki
Yeah.
where he's like,
I'm gonna get
I need
better.
him to keep thinking I'm smarter than
Yeah.
him because that pisses him off, makes him work harder. Yes.
How long should we bounce around the fact that how long should we bounce around the ending?
The Enchantress?
Oh, you know where I was going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right in.
I mean, there
the
wasn't-
moment the hood came down, I was like, Ryan, that's the Enchantress.
Yeah.
And Loki.
It's
Loki the Enchantress.
If this is what they're doing, it's a really, really cool thing of having like your cake and eating it too. Like introducing two different characters, but like there's no reason they can't be the same character. Like
right.
the Enchantress is her own character. Like that is a little unfair to the character, but like there's no reason that they can't do this. They
Right.
can't just combine
Well,
characters.
So there's a couple of things that I noticed in the episode because Loki says I would never treat myself like this.
Yeah.
Right.
There's moments where he's baffled by what's happening because he's like, this isn't how I act about anything. And even she's like, don't call me Loki.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, the foreign credits for this movie, for this episode play, and she is credited in the foreign credits as Sylvie.
Yeah, Sylvie,
which is the Enchantress.
Laufey daughter. Which is
Sylvie. I have it actually written down. Lushton is the Enchantress. That's the second Enchantress.
So that is the comic's name in the show. And actually, in the end credit sequence, you see a file and it has a name. And it's Sylvie Laufey daughter.
So I think the assumption that you, as the audience, of course, but also Loki, our variant Loki, are supposed to be making is that when they say they're chasing a Loki variant, it's a more or less, maybe a girl, but like more or less a version of the Loki we know.
Yeah.
But this is a person who fills the role that Loki plays in the universe in another world, but is not a copy of Loki himself. It is the same like God of Mischief, essentially, role. Maybe not by that title, but it is that same like function to the universe at large in their world, and that's why they're a Loki variant. They're connected in that way, but this is the Enchantress.
I wanted to bring it up specifically because it's another interesting way that they've gone around Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. introduced the first Enchantress.
Oh, I don't remember that. I definitely watched the show.
As the actress who plays someone, Mara from Smallville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was the Enchantress in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the episode that Sif showed up, the first episode that Sif showed up.
Oh, right. You're right. You are right.
Different.
Yeah.
It makes sense that they would do a different one.
What's interesting is they keep dancing around the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. connection, which I find fun.
It is cool that they're just not completely like recasting. Like that is kind of nice that they're giving it some type of
We have two Enchantresses in the Marvel comics. Why don't we use the second one instead of the first one?
Exactly.
Right.
It's nice. Also, there was like we should have known when like, oh, you're using enchantments, like how naive or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's cute, right? Because that's what she does. She takes over people's bodies.
She's doing things different from Loki, and so like all the spots were there. There was a point. I have to admit, there was a point where I'm like, what if she's the Enchantress?
Yeah.
And then that's why the moment the hood came down, I was ready, and I'm like, oh, she's the.
And it's still, and she still has like the Loki. Like if you look at the lady Loki, she does that. Like she has like a helmet.
She has the horn,
but she also has like the Enchantress like green stuff. And I'm like, this is just it's a cool invention of
it makes a lot of sense. It's a really great way. Like I never thought I thought we'd reach a point we were never going to get the Enchantress proper in the MCU.
Yeah.
And this is a really great way to bring her in.
Yeah. And
like she's a Loki variant, she's also the Enchantress. She can be both, and it's functional and it works.
Also, see, I do wonder if she is a Loki variant. I wonder if she is just someone making trouble.
Well, no, that's what I mean. She's a Loki variant, not in the sense of like she is a Loki variant in the sense that she is the variant of his role. For her world, she is that variant.
Like if there was another Asgard, like she would be the Enchantress, but like she's the God of Mischief. She's not Loki. Mm-hmm. But like it just
she is the Loki.
So what you're suggesting, and these are all hypotheticals anyway. But what you're suggesting is that she is from an alternate Asgard where Loki is not the God of Mischief.
Yes,
right. Where
she replaces him.
She functions as that. Like we've reached very far across the branches of the timeline,
the multiverse,
and she is the person who would functionally to an outside force like the TVA. Where most of the universes have a character that goes by Loki. That's how we refer to that god. Think of it like referring to like, like the Romans and the Greeks, right, Brandon? Mm-hmm. The different names for the gods.
Yeah.
Loki for most places, but here it's the Enchantress. But it's still a Loki variant because they still term it that way.
Yeah, just a different name.
Because most of these same person, same role, Loki variant.
Yeah, right. I dig it.
See,
but not a true copy of Loki.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that happening. One of the things that I was interested in when we started hearing about a potential Lady Loki in the show is the idea that if Loki ever saw her, he would be able to place her in his timeline because he's like, oh, that's when I was a girl. But what you're saying is that necessarily wouldn't be the case,
right?
So he's not. So. I mean, to be fair, to Marvel's credit, though, I just want to point this out because this is cool. They have canonically confirmed that Loki is gender fluid in the MCU. Yeah. Right. I think that's cool.
I think that will still come up in some way on the show. I think that will still be a factor. But I think that, like, functionally, she is still connected to Loki. She's still technically part of that large group of trees.
Yeah.
Like if Loki is at the center of it, the sacred timeline Loki, let's say, not the variant we're watching,
Yes.
but the original Loki that died. And the trees come down and it branches into all these roots. And she's way over here, but she's still part of it.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're looking at. And I think that's why they call her a Loki variant. I think she's still functionally that person.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, and we've kind of established the TVA isn't 100% reliable.
Right.
You know, we either
They got there first,
either
is what
document
happened.
stuff or whatever. Yeah, they're just there first. So
Yeah.
I mean,
You are an organization run by people who have read Wikipedia summaries of what happened in the universe.
Yeah. So I mean, there's enough there for me to be kind of like, you know, it could very much be filling in a role. It could very much just be like, oh, you know,
We got it wrong.
we got it wrong. We thought it was Loki, and it just, you know, maybe she killed a Loki and took like the crown.
You know what it
or,
also
you
could
know.
be? It could be a situation where like the timekeepers are like, this person is going to destroy everything we've built. Like we have to fake a scenario just to capture this person.
Could be.
Like,
Yeah.
because like the timekeepers, like, and like, let's say it's Kang or whatever, like they're still working at the end of the universe to make the perfect sacred timeline. So
Yep.
they're busy or whatever.
Yeah.
They need people to be here, and they're like, okay, this situation with this Loki will destroy everything in our power. We need to fix it.
Right.
And like, but we can't actually tell anybody that. We can't
Right,
tell anybody
yeah.
the world would actually end.
I want to shout out. I don't know her. I cannot pronounce her name, but the girl from Lovecraft Country, Ruby from Lovecraft Country. She is great as Lady Loki, as the Enchantress or whoever. I think she's excellent.
That's the guard who doesn't trust the variant.
Oh,
That's who
right.
Ben hasn't. This Ben variant hasn't watched Lovecraft Country. I wanted to explain who we were talking.
Yeah.
Well, actually, neither has our Ben either.
That's true. But I think we've
There are
said it to him enough.
commonalities.
He knows who we're talking
Yeah.
about.
So the person who doesn't trust Loki, she when she is taken by the hex, she does the smile that Tom Hiddleston does, and I think it's just pitch perfect. I thought she was excellent.
Really, really well done.
She's a great actor. I'm so glad she's on this show.
Yeah.
Me too. And I also wanted to point out the girl from Hellboy. I mean, I know her from other things, but she was recently in Hellboy. She helped the cheetah dude in Hellboy. She was in this.
I was wondering where I spotted her. You're right. She was.
Yeah, she's the one who can make the ghosts.
Yeah, she's. Yeah. She's fine. Obviously, she has more.
Oh no, I just like her as an actress, and I was happy to
I'm
see
just
her
happy she's in it.
in the
Yeah.
show.
No, yeah, you're right.
Brennan's just watching. He's like, oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happened. I was like, oh, good for her.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're in this.
Right.
Get that.
Those are the two I wanted to shout out.
For sure. Yeah, I really like this. I like the concept of it. I'm glad this is the turn we took. I mean, like, because you said like earlier, it's Sylvie Laufey's
daughter.
Laufey's child.
D-O-T-T-I-R.
So
Yeah.
still
Right.
Laufey's child.
Yeah.
Just like our Loki. That's like, this is a Loki variant. I get it. Like, this is the connection we're making. I think it works.
Bam.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But her plan was to send a bunch of bombs into the sacred timeline and create a shit ton of branches.
Guys, if she created the multiverse, she created the multiverse on 616 day.
Well, that's true.
The multiverse was created on 616. That's pretty
That's
cool.
pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Usually that kind of stuff. I'm kind of like,
Nah, I'm not into it. But man, this variant, he's into it.
Like,
If the plot isn't snipping the rest of these branches, like if they don't get the sacred timeline under control, this is how we get What If.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I think what's going to happen is all these timelines are going to go nuts, and then like everybody in the bureau is going to be on alert, going to be going out trying to fix it, and they realize there's too many to fix, and they think the world's going to end, and then it doesn't.
Yeah.
And everyone's like,
right.
"Oh,
Wait,
so
what?
the timekeepers were wrong," and then they're going to show up or something, go like, wipe it off from existence, start over again.
Or the timekeepers show up, and are just like, we meant for this to happen. These are all part
Right,
of the
Yes.
sacred timeline.
Totally. Definitely meant for that. Yes.
And then Multiverse of Madness.
And
Actually,
Bob.
first Spider-Man, but
Yeah,
then
well,
Multiverse
you
of
know, we're gonna skip that. I'm gonna skip. I was just going straight.
Doctor
to
Strange is in
Multiverse.
Spider-Man.
You can't
Never
skip
mind. I
it.
like it now.
Ben, remember, you and I were the ones who reviewed Doctor Strange on this podcast, so like we have to
Yeah.
see everything Doctor Strange.
It
No.
was our first ever MCU review, and it was just you and Ryan.
You're
Yeah,
here
that's
for
true.
it. Yeah, I big fan of.
But
Doctor
this
Strange.
was a variant, so.
No, yeah.
still like,
Right? Did this happen? Did that happen in your timeline?
yes, but there were lions
Wow.
What a world!
just in the movie.
Wow.
Night Vale joke
Nope.
about what the room looked like.
Nope, just inexplicably there were lions in the movie. Only
That's
difference.
nuts.
Everything else was the same.
I want to say real quick, I wasn't sure how the rest of the season was gonna go, and then when this episode happened, and I saw like, okay, we got to go fight the variant. I was like, okay, I hope it doesn't turn into like the traditional thing I was expecting, and it did do that, but it subverted it with him like trying to team up with the Loki, but then it wasn't really even like a Loki, and then the whole multiverse thing happened. So like, they're still subverting my expectations on like tropes, on TV tropes, but like. The show looks so good. I love the music, like the super sci-fi music. I love it a lot. Like, it looks great. The actors are great. I'm like, man,
The dialogue is sharp.
this is definitely like super well written. Like, like half the show is people just sitting around talking, and like it works. So like,
And I love how the TVA looks.
Yeah.
Me too.
So much. I get that there's the whole fantastical backdrop with all the buildings, but just the weird 1940s, 50s like look of just the interior building.
boring bureaucracy. Yeah.
Oh,
I talked to-
That's why I love Control the game. Yeah.
I talked to a friend of the podcast, Jeremy Vellucci, and he'd watched the first episode of this when we talked, and he's like, "Yeah, I can't believe they brought Brazil to the MCU," and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Terry,
yeah.
Terry Gilliam,
"You right? Yeah."
Yeah. I really like the look of the series. It's probably my favorite in terms of design so far that we've seen in Phase 4. And I also want to credit. I think a lot of the writing is sharp, and I totally agree. But I think a lot of it wouldn't work without Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston delivering it so well.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
All the actors. This cast is a really great cast.
Yes.
I really love it. I love it a lot. Even the extras who were pretending to be the Enchantress and attacking Loki were
Randy.
were spot on. Yeah, Randy. And then the guy that came after, he's like, "I miss Randy." All of them were great. Really great.
Yeah. I really like seeing Roxcart. That was fun.
Roxanne has showed up in like every single Marvel live action property at this point. Was it in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at all?
It was mentioned in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's in Runaways.
Yep. Cloak
the
and Dagger.
Netflix shows,
Right.
Cloak and Dagger.
It's been in every single one.
It's a running through
Still gotta watch the second
presence.
season then.
Yeah.
So do I. Yeah.
Oh, you haven't seen it? We should watch it.
Roxanne is the secret key to linking all of those projects.
Yeah.
I do wonder, has it shown up in the movies yet?
I don't think so. I feel like I would remember this.
I don't recall.
I feel like we would.
I don't think
Yeah.
Roxanne has ever been brought up in terms of the films.
Yeah.
The only ones I can think of where it would be Iron Man's.
Yeah, and I've seen those movies
That's
enough.
never happened.
Yeah.
So no, but this is MCU proper for sure. So
This is the sacred timeline.
So this is Roxanne finally being acknowledged directly, and honestly, like everything that was Roxanne in those other TV show properties, if you let all those things be part of your MCU, then it makes sense that they would end up with something like
A Roxcart.
the BNL of the MCU in the future, the by and large of the future. That makes a lot of sense.
Brandon, yeah. I got a hypothetical for you. They talked about how time works differently in the TVA. Some people hypothesize that it lives in the quantum realm.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah, I thought on Twitter, I was like, oh, it's fun. I can see that.
Yeah.
What if the reason Kang is in Ant-Man is because they just accidentally blow him out of the quantum realm and he's like, I was doing stuff, guys. Dang.
It's just...
We're pretty confident Kang's either the timekeeper pretending there are three or one of the timekeepers.
Oh my god. Because he's in Ant-Man and the Wasp, or Ant-Man and Quantumania. And also, I'm 100% sure that he's probably not in the show. But like Jonathan Majors is doing interviews right now, and he's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Kang who? You can't
cheeky man.
Even if you're not in it, you
man.
can't say you don't even know what we're talking about.
We know he's in it because Kevin Feige himself said he's in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
That's why he might be in this show.
But I did take another look at the opening like welcome video in the TVA, and I was like, you know, that guy does look like Jonathan Majors.
Dude, it kind of does.
I took note of it because we watched the entire credits this time. Like I really watched them this time, just because we were waiting to see if there was a post credits. And the very last shot is the center timekeeper's face breaking up.
Oh, breaking up. Okay.
It's like molding. It's like folding up and coming forward in the center.
It's the future.
Like it's opening up to something,
Masks.
and I'm like, come on, man,
They're all
what?
lizard masks.
What?
Yeah.
King's
Yeah,
hiding in the statue.
This is
The entire time.
this is what I was hoping. This is what I was hoping from the show from the start.
Yeah.
I'm really into this. I really am excited for the next episode because Loki just bails.
Yeah.
He thinks about it though. He's like, "Should I? Yes, I'm going to go."
I think based on trailer footage that we've seen, now we're going to see him like falling into places that aren't supposed to exist on the trail of the Enchantress. Because this is where we're going to see like the destroyed New York,
Yep.
and things like that.
And I'm here for it. I love all the alternate worlds. I mean, it's why I'm so excited for like What If and, and all that. Like,
Same.
yeah, because the thing is, like, sure, the comics have explored it, but we haven't really got to see any of it.
Yeah,
as far as like film, TV stuff. So I'm just
one of the things I remember talking about with someone in my life long ago was that the Marvel one shots, when they used to do those on the Blu-rays, would introduce the concept of doing what ifs. And I was like, that's pretty difficult because you got to get the actors to do it. But I really like to see the actors do it. And now with the animated format and they're doing the voices, now we have a way to do that. So I'm kind of really stoked for that now that we're finally going to have the what if.
Yeah.
Really excited.
Yeah, I love the idea that the TVA and its existence made a sacred timeline, but it's bullshit. The multiverse always existed, and this show's going to be like, the multiverse. Yeah. And then that's going to spill over into the Spider-Man film where Doctor Strange is, and it's going to spill over into because we know Alfred Molina and Jamie Foxx bare minimum are coming from their Spider-Man movies into Spider-Man 3 somehow. So
somehow.
Okay.
No, I love that Phase 4 seems to just really be like, all right, we're doing multiverse stuff.
Yeah.
This is happening.
But like we're blowing it up in little pieces.
Yeah.
Like they are doing, damn it, son of a bitch. They are doing the same thing they did to make the Avengers, but with the multiverse. They're doing it in little pieces and bringing single elements from one film and one structure to another to build the multiverse.
So when it happens,
for the MCU
it just
audience,
makes sense.
and instead of just doing a Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Smart.
I like
they win again.
I like that. Because not everybody is so like into. They could be like, oh yeah, multiverse stuff. I mean, I think that anybody that watches the Marvel movies, or I think at least a decent amount that sees any sci-fi movie has an idea of what multiverse is. It's like people know it's like, okay, sure, multiple universes, but like what that really means in Marvel, the implications of that. It's nice to see them take the care and the time to just be like, oh, okay, here we go piece by piece. This is what's coming.
They started
we talked about how
Spider-Man.
we talked about for the last episode of Fake Nerds Watch, like how multiverse has been mentioned in the MCU before. It was mentioned in Doctor Strange, but their concept of multiverse could arguably be, oh yeah, that's a different dimension. Not necessarily, oh yeah, there's all these split, fractured, alternate histories, alternate versions of the events of which we live. Mm-hmm. And that seems to be the concept that they're not entirely aware of, which is why the TV is like, we need to maintain that nobody be aware of that.
Mm-hmm. It's nice. It's nice to see kind of that care being taken into it instead of just being like, oh, what would be cool? This, and then just throwing it in.
Flashpoint.
Of the two directions that we've seen the MCU go in Phase 4, and I'm still on record saying that I'm not sure about this next Spider-Man movie, but I don't
know who is. Like, I don't know. I know everybody's interested, but I don't know who's sure of it.
Alternate Ben is 100. You can quote me on this.
All right, Ben.
It will be amazing.
Listen, that's a multiverse movie. Maybe like alternate Ben shows up.
Alternate. Yeah, I cannot confirm nor deny that I'm in that movie.
Nobody can confirm or deny that they're in that movie,
except Alfred Molina.
I thought he meant alternate Uncle Ben.
Oh, which one? Martin Sheen or the other one? That's I forgot.
No, hashtag William H. Macy for Ben Parker.
Jesus.
But no, I'm confident that movie's gonna slap.
But of the two directions we've seen the MCU go in Phase 4, which is the more grounded approach of the post blip world, and I hate the blip name of the post snap world, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or the multiverse that was largely accidentally alluded to in WandaVision, but more explicitly alluded to in Loki. I think the multiverse one is the more promising direction because of just how Falcon and Winter Soldier ended. But if Falcon and Winter Soldier ended stronger, I'd be more interested in that direction.
I think the whole thing with the blip, you're right. It does suck when you say it out loud.
I'll tell you why.
Doesn't it?
I'll tell you real quick. I think we've talked about it a little before, like why the blip sucks. The reason the blip sucks is because the people who were alive on Earth for 5 years would not call it the blip. They would have called it something else because the blip implies that they left but came back. So that's what they'd call it in the hindsight of looking at it.
Yeah.
But for the first 5 years, and the name that it really would be called, it'd be called something like the Great Dissolving or something, because everybody fell into ash.
The Great Erasure.
Yeah, it'd be called something like that.
The ashening.
Nobody. We've seen Infinity War. Nobody just. Okay, we're all gone. They all slowly evaporated away.
There was
dusting. Like they'll
the
call
dust,
it something.
Guys, there was a comic event. They just call it the Thanos Imperative.
Yeah, right. Because normal people on Earth are told at a certain point, like, Thanos did this.
Yeah, people know who Thanos is. They killed him.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, but whatever the name of this disappearance was,
the snapping,
the snap.
Even the Great Disappearance is a better name than the blip.
Oh, what was I talking?
The Great
about?
Loki.
Does anyone remember?
No, you were talking about the interesting thing about the post-blip world, post-snapping world.
Well, there we go. Thank you. The whole thing about that is that so far with what we've seen from it, to me, it feels much more like just a narrative device to be like, okay, where are these people's stories going? Like personal stories. Mm-hmm. And everything else that's more like connected is the multiverse thing. And it's weird that like such a big event feels much more like just a throwaway narrative device to be like, oh, here is some reason for why this is happening.
Right.
And that's what we talked about in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm sorry, this Ben won't remember, but the discussion we had about Falcon and Winter Soldier was that I'm far more interested in the idea of what happened after the snap, what happened after everyone came back, what is the geopolitics of it, the GCR, all that stuff. But that's so poorly handled by the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier that I'm just like, well, you blew it.
This is my major thing, is that like I still have come away from Endgame and nothing has changed my mind about this, that like making the 5-year gap has so far in my mind been a bit of a mistake, where like you didn't just bring back all the people, because you have created something like so complex and interesting that you have to do so much to explore it, and I don't think they're ever going to get there.
And the thing is, both Spider-Man and Falcon and Winter Soldier, has there been anything else that's addressed?
WandaVision.
WandaVision. You're right. It did. Every single one of those instances, it was more of a, man, things changed.
Right.
And that's it. And you're just like, okay, and?
But Falcon Winter Soldier goes the furthest with the GCR. But it never quite
even then
gets there.
Even then, it just feels like it's just an excuse for their thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but you're right. You're right. Like, that's the thing, is like they created such a tall order that I'm like, they'll never be able to meet.
Yeah.
They will never be able to meet like what that means on a cosmic scale or just on an Earth scale.
So
to have that happen.
There are two shows that do excite me with possibilities, and it's She-Hulk and it is Hawkeye, actually.
Yeah.
Because those are two shows that deal specifically with She-Hulk dealing with people and helping people, and Emma or Astra, sorry, cat problems. Hawkeye's most famous run by Matt Fractions about him helping his neighborhood who are being taken over by mafia people. Like his apartment is being bought by mafioso. So like the show's about him helping his neighborhood. Yeah. So like what's happening in neighborhoods, people with the blip. So like I'm really hoping like that's what it's tackling with She-Hulk. It's like you're helping people by being a lawyer.
Especially him as a character who is super motivated because he lost his family.
Exactly.
During that
So
time.
I'm hopeful that these shows will go into it, and if they don't, then it's like literally wasted opportunity.
Right.
on
It's like
to be
these are the
fair,
shows. This is the chance you
the
get.
era.
To be fair, we're just 3 properties into phase 4.
And I get that, but the
So.
thing is, we're also only just a few properties into the multiverse, and that's already being more pieced together.
That's true.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Is that's the thing? I think you said it really well earlier, which is just like it's a narrative device more than it is a constant development.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be, because something on that scale would always be present. Like, honestly, the next decade of the MCU should always, whether in space or on Earth,
until we catch up,
be permeated
in real life.
Permeated by that event.
Yeah.
Because it's so massive and so impactful.
I still want that documentary.
Yeah.
The mockumentary.
Yeah, the fake documentary about
5 years later.
It would that would go a long way to making like me feel more
David Attenborough.
more justified.
There's one movie that did address the blip real well.
Yeah. Which one?
Cats. If you haven't seen Cats, you have to watch Cats to understand the MCU.
Now I gotta watch Cats.
Thanks for coming to this episode of FakeNerd Watch.
I did want to say one thing before we close out, because we didn't spotlight it specifically. I know we were all thinking it and kind of beat around it, but like the part where Loki takes his salad and explains how the variants work and why you can do whatever you want in a point where it's going to be destroyed is excellent comedy between Owen Wilson and Loki, where he's like, no, don't
put pepper in my salad.
Because he says this is the fire to the palace, and he's like, no, don't light the fire to the palace. Filling it in itself.
And it's just he does it twice. He does it twice. He does it twice when he's just
he just wanted to ruin the salad.
Tom Hiddleston knew the visual comedy of what he was doing.
And it's like the drink. Okay, wait. Oh, hi, it's you again.
Like, we've never really seen Loki like this, because like we've never seen him just like fully like vulnerable, like really, because like he's powerless, and like what is he gonna do? So like he's goofy. He's goofy sometimes. And I'm like, oh man, like the real Loki gets to shine now.
And you only got to see a little bit of that coming out with Ragnarok.
That fun feels mischievous.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's being mischievous.
Yeah.
He can be the god of mischief without being an asshole.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I also think that, well, not the most screen time yet, this is more screen time than he's had in a long time.
He's definitely like cried like 3 times in the last 2 episodes. Like he's had more emotions.
Well, but like just like in terms of screen time, like if I'm sure if you add it up, there is at this point more screen time in the movies than there is in the show. But by the time the show is done, Tom Hiddleston will have more screen time in this show than he had in the entire MCU up until this point. I think that does a lot for Tom Hiddleston as a performer, because now he's able to play a lot more. He's able to be a lot looser. Now he's not playing against Thor or Odin or whoever. He's playing against really himself most of the time.
It's all these, like for all 3 shows, like all of these characters who haven't been the leads of their movies, like they finally get a chance to lead, and it's not just for 2 hours, it's for 6 hours.
I love, even though like the variant Loki turns out to be the Enchantress, and so not a 1-for-1 of him as a person. I love when he's trying to speak to them and they're running circles around him and playing games, and he's like, God, I get Thor. I get why Thor gets so upset.
This is
about
annoying.
This now.
Yeah,
this is frustrating.
Yeah,
and she was only on screen for a little bit, but like she already has like a presence, and I'm really excited to see like, she's gonna be like equal, like an equal presence to Tom Hiddleston.
Yes.
And hopefully they can stick around.
Yeah.
Because like again, like why can't we just have a bunch of Lokis running around? That'd be so much fun. Why not? Comic books.
I need World Cup Loki.
There's a deleted scene of like how he cheated.
It's already erased.
Multiverse, he comes back.
There's
that is an interesting concept. Like, will them fix doing what they're inevitably going to do in undoing the work of the TVA?
Oh, like restore those guys.
They're gonna go to the beginning.
This goes back to what we said. We said last week that like all of the variants aren't actually erased. That zapping thing doesn't erase them.
Right.
It essentially vaults them.
They're in the cabin in the
files.
woods.
Like the whole TVA is full of them, just like locked in cabinets.
That's why it's so big.
I mean,
they ice them.
Yeah.
I love it.
God.
I agree with this just because that means World Cup Loki exists still.
I want that man bear pig Loki.
Man, Bear Pig. Yes.
Bear Pig.
Yeah, I'm really into the show. I can't wait for next week.
Yep.
Shall we? Anything else you want to add, or shall we?
Anything else, Variant Ben?
Yeah. If Variant Ben went by any other name, like Xander, maybe.
Oh no, we were gonna. We'll
No,
do
all
that.
the Xandarians were
which
knocked
would-
out
Do
by
you want to say
Thanos.
anything else about the show?
The show, no.
Okay,
No, I'm good.
we'll do that in a second.
Okay.
Wow, Variant Ben. That's so different than our Ben. Normally
You
he gives a
know-
recap.
That's why it's a Variant.
Yeah. Loki.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Well, should I tell the audience who he really was, or should I just end it?
Real quick,
We'll do your spiel about fake. Nerd
real
stuff.
quick. This lady Loki, aka this New Age Enchantress, is from Kieran Gillen's Young Avengers run. That where also the Kid Loki is introduced at the same time, around the same time. So I'm not saying the Kid Loki is going to show up, but if we're saying a bunch of different Lokis, it'd be really cool to see
It'd be
like a
cool.
really young prankster Loki.
I'm down
I
for
would
Kid
love to
Loki.
see it.
I don't think Kid Loki will. I don't think Kid Loki will replace Tom
no.
Hiddleston, but I do think we might see him. What'd you say, Sparks? I talked over you.
I said I wonder if we've already met him.
Ooh, spicy. Peter Parker?
No, I'm thinking of the boy from the first episode.
Which boy?
The boy who had the gun.
Oh.
I don't know. All
I
right.
think I'll.
Let me do my spiel then. This is Fake Nerds Watch. We're doing Loki. We're going to be doing all 6 episodes of Loki. So that's cool, guys. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. And you can find all of our other shows on this channel, such as our newest show, Animation Station. Sparks launched Animation Station. The first episode of that is out, where Sparks and I guess on Sparks' new show, talk about Adventure Time Distant Lands BMO, the first of the Distant Land specials. And then you can check out Basement Arcade, which is currently on hiatus. Basement Arcade pause menu. Did you guys get anything right about E3? I didn't check.
I got one thing thanks to Nintendo.
Most no.
Most no.
Well, if you wanna go back and check their work, go ahead. That's up now. You can check out our Fake Nerd Book Club, currently on hiatus. You can check out... Yeah, that's all the video ones, right? No. Well, this. Yeah. And, of course, my show, Conversation, comes out every Thursday.
Our anniversary special is out.
I'm getting there, Sparks.
Well, I'm sorry. Okay, you said if there was anything else.
I did forget, actually. Thank you. You can check out my podcast, Conversation, where I talk to other podcasters and the like that. That's all audio though, so check it out on all your audio platforms. And of course, our 5th anniversary special, as Sparks mentioned, is up. That was last Saturday. It's a lot of fun. Great time was had by all. Not this Ben though. It was the other Ben that we had on that one.
Regular Ben.
Regular Ben. Yes.
Yeah. And we'll do Sacred
Ben.
Timeline.
Sacred
Ben.
That's his new name. Sacred Ben.
Sacred Ben.
I hope
That's
you
a
watch
t-shirt.
this.
The Sacred Ben.
Sacred Ben.
Hold on. Sacred Ben.
It's
How
like
do you
him
spell
looking like a timekeeper.
It's him here, and he's looking in the mirror, and here's Variant Ben in like a reflection looking up.
Oh my god.
All right. There's so many T-shirts just based off of Ben.
Forever. We'll never run out.
He's a good fake nerd podcast
source.
meme.
Inspiration.
That's true. Our 5th anniversary special, we've been doing this for 5 years. That's up on YouTube and audio, wherever you listen to podcasts. It's great. Check it out. That's that. Okay, so what do I do next? Subscribe to us. I said subscribe to us, like us. I'm having an aneurysm, guys. I don't know what's wrong.
We have a Patreon.
We have a Patreon. Jesus, thank you. We have a Patreon. What's wrong with me? I'm the variant. We have a Patreon.
Brandon just appears behind him and kills him, and we're like, oh!
God.
Like the occultist in The Conjuring.
Yes, it's like Mr. Sinister.
Oh my God!
I'm the real Brandon.
It's even more brutal. It's like Ultron when he rips apart the
Oh.
smaller Ultron body.
Oh my god, it's a 6'8" Brandon.
Oh
Oh
my
my
god.
God! All right.
Like
Yes.
the rock size Brandon.
His
I wish I looked. Sometimes I wish I looked like The Rock. All right. You check out our TeePublic. Speaking of shirts, we got a bunch of shirts. Our new Animation Station logo is on TeePublic now. If you want to get that shirt, it might be off center. I'll fix that. Then we have our Patreon. You can check out our Patreon. We just added the new tier of the $1 tier. Our $1 tier, if you kind of like us, just kind of though. If you like us more than that, you got to do $20.
Whoa!
If you like us enough.
No, if you love us, you do 20.
If you
like us a little, you can do one of the other tiers.
We also get a T-shirt, so it's like you can just like us and you get a T-shirt.
That's true. At the $10 tier,
also that. Look at that.
You can do that. But it's cheaper, wink, wink, on the $10 tier to buy a Patreon exclusive T-shirt, which is for 1.5 more weeks, which is Ben Magnet's exclusive club. Are you in this club variant, Ben? I didn't ask. Stephen King's best friend?
Are you Stephen King's best friend?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Very cool.
Some things are true in all timelines.
Something
you were best man for his wedding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How old are you?
Time flows differently.
Oh, it's the quantum realm. I get it. Yeah.
All right, so you can check out those things. Definitely check out our Patreon, our TeePublic, and you can find all these links on our website at www.fakenerdpodcast.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us, I'm at Fake Nerd Podcast on all social medias. If you'd like to get in touch with us, fakenerdguys@gmail.com. I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. Sparks.
You can find me on vacation at SparksWitty on Instagram and Twitter, SparkzWitty. And, of course, this is our good friend, Xander Hake, who graciously is joining us for this episode. And I love it, and it's good to have you. So thanks for coming on and pretending to be Ben. It's awesome. Where can people find you wherever you want them to find you?
Oh, for sure. You can find me on Twitch at Jacques in the Box. JAQUE in the box. You can also check out my VR photography at Jax_box on Instagram. So JAQS_box. And yeah.
Nice. Love it.
I've learned so much about you just now. Apparently, I've been mispronouncing your last name.
Yeah. It is Kake.
Wow. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
What have you been saying?
Yeah.
Jacques.
Yeah,
Xander Jacques.
Jacques.
Well, Xander is short for Alexander.
Yeah.
Alexander Jacques.
Yeah. Sounds right to me.
Some people say Jack. I've gone by Jack.
He's a jack of all trades.
Yeah, that's why Jack in the Box. Jack's box. Yeah.
Ryan, where can they find you?
You can find me at DJ Tony Snark everywhere.
All right. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Until next time you see us, guys, stay fake nerds.